Yo, what's up? And welcome to episode 127 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and it is my pleasure to be joined by my amazing co-host, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, Woody V.
Hey, man, nice to see you returning the favor after last week. I appreciate it, Robbie. It's great to be here, man.
Buttering you up for a good episode, mate. Yeah, it's good. It's like a bit of a break we had, right? I think it's just under 2 weeks, so I know we've got a lot to talk about today, and we've both been looking forward to be back on the mic. So, look, before we get into the usual stuff, definitely. So, just a reminder where to find us. Please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. And, of course, our audio podcast version is available where all good podcasts are found. But, Woods, as always, we'll start off with jerseys, right? I can see you're rocking a nice-looking brand new NBL one, I think, there.
Yeah, a very topical one. I wanted to discuss the player whose jersey I'm wearing in a minute. So let me just stand up, Robin. Why don't you take the audience through it?
So Woods is stand up, rocking the number 23, Melbourne United, Luke Travers jersey. So it's probably still taken me a while to be okay with seeing that jersey, Woods, but no, I like it. It's a nice looking jersey. I'm still not completely over him leaving my Wildcats, but yeah, anyway, I like it.
Yeah, okay. Well, instead of going through, some of his history and whatnot, have you worn a Travers jersey on you, a Wildcats one? You might have you?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to lean towards maybe I haven't. I know I definitely got the Wildcats one. I don't know if I want it, though. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go through his background one of these days when you do, right? I just wanted to talk a little bit about, in today's news, right? He's knocking down that door to be in the league, right? And it's only a matter of time before he gets that opportunity. Just some stats here: 10.7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in his latest game. And he's averaging 8.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Peter Hooley's basically said, look, he's doing all the little things that he needs to be done. Exactly what he did last year, He had his big block on Bronny James. I don't know if you saw that. That was singled out. He's getting out in transition. They want to see him, develop that outside shot a little bit more. There's no secret there. But what do you think? I mean, do the Melbourne United team have something to worry about? Is there a chance he'll stick and get some sort of two-way opportunity with Cleveland?
It does seem as good a time as ever. I know Cleveland still hasn't done anything about Isaac Okoro now, and I know he's probably he's got some similar traits to Okoro, I guess. But yeah, look, I hope this would be the year. He always seems to get pretty good stats at Summer League. I think if he does end up signing and playing, get him on your fantasy team because he's going to fill up the box score there. But look, he's continued to add stuff to his game each year. He's probably just, being a slightly better shooter away from making that. And look, if he was a better shooter, he probably would have been playing there 2 years ago, right? But
I agree, but you're being a bit generous there. Even if he does get in the league next year, he's not going to be fantasy relevant in the NBA.
No,
right?
You never know, right? Mate, he's the sort of player, he could play 15 minutes a game and he could put up, 8, 3, 3, 2, and 1 or something like that. That could be worse.
And remember, it's all about opportunity. A guy like Duop Breath, he got waived by Portland, then came back on a 2-way contract and proved himself, and he had that opportunity. So it all comes down to timing.
I don't think the Cavs have got a lot of wing players either. So, they've obviously got some pretty small guards and they've got some big guys there. Maybe they're a little bit lacking in that position that Travers plays. So, yeah, maybe it could be now or never for him.
Yep, and then persistent pays off year after year, coming back to Summer League and preseason and doing all the right things that have been asked of him by the front office at Cleveland.
Yeah,
is only going to help him in the long run. So,
look, it'll probably be a nervous wait for United. It's probably like that for a few of these players that are over there now. I'm sure the clubs are, partly wanting them to succeed, but also crossing their fingers that they come back and sort of suit up for them. So, yeah, we're watching that one with interest.
Definitely. And Robbie, finally, before we move on, I just wanted to ask you, when we talk about Boomers squads, do you think Luke Travers kind of gets slept on a little bit and swept under the rug?
No, I think you're right. His name never seems to get mentioned. We talk about snubs, and there's probably 6 guys we probably name easily off the top of our head before we even get to him. So, yeah, potentially you wonder what else he's got to do, right? The guy's likely to be playing NBA this year. He's been drafted. He's been performing at Summer League. He's been really good in the NBL. So he's got to be on that next level, right? Like if they did a B team sort of thing, he'd be probably in the first handful of players picked on that one. So, yeah, he's certainly got the youth on his side, and we know this is an older Boomers team, so maybe he could be part of that next generation.
Yeah, definitely got the game that will transition well into that, FIBA basketball, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a ready-made replacement for Joe Ingles. You know what I mean? Like a bigger guy that can handle the ball and pass and do a few things. So, yeah. Nice one, Woods. Appreciate that one. You got the OKC hat as well, so always rocking a different one there. So I thought I'd rock a bit of a different one today. I'm going to be featuring a player that we will be seeing taking the court in the upcoming Olympics. So I know you don't know who this one is. Maybe that's a bit of a giveaway.
I think I do. Yeah. So to all those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the Charlotte Hornets number 5 Nicolas Batum jersey. And I probably remember him as a Portland Trailblazer more than anything else, but after that, I would say as a Hornet. Right?
You know, that's a guy I've always liked as well, Woods. I like sort of the versatile, sort of bigger sort of guys. And look, doing a bit of research on him this week, he's probably almost had a bit of an underrated career. So just a little bit to go through. So it's a Nicolas Batum purple Adidas Charlotte Hornets jersey. So just a little bit about the Frenchman. He's so far played 16 seasons in the NBA, Woods. So pretty good effort there. I think he's like in the top maybe 75 to 80 of all-time games played in the regular season, which is pretty amazing there. So he was drafted out of France by the Rockets at pick 25 in the 08 draft. He was traded on draft night to Portland. Hasn't played with a whole lot of teams to date. So he's played with the Blazers, Hornets, Clippers, 76ers, and then a few weeks ago signed to return back to the Clippers. So when he goes to a team, he seems to stay there, right? Which probably says a bit about his character and his game that he's got there. So, look, he's 35 years of age, Woods, and he'll be playing in his 4th straight Olympics with a very strong French team. So, he's had a really good career there. Look, besides winning that silver medal at the last Olympics, he's also very much known for whacking Juan Carlos Navarro on the nuts in the 2012 Olympics. And honestly, for those that haven't seen it, just, put something like, Batum nut punch or something into YouTube. It's quite amazing that he did like that. It was crazy. It was one of the most blatant sort of dirty fouls I've seen. He also had that crucial game-saving block against Slovenia in that last Olympics there, last couple of seconds. It sealed the game for him in that one. So I know he's going to be an important part of this team. They've got obviously a young generation coming through in that French team, but someone that I think will still be important. One thing I'm not sure if you did know was doing my research there. Did you know that Batum's father, Richard, was a pro? So he was of Cameroonian descent. He was a pro playing in France. Tragic story on this one as well. So in 1991, young Nicolas Batum at age 2.5 and his mother were in the crowd watching his dad play. His dad had an aneurysm and basically collapsed and died during the game. So yeah, horrible story there. So it's great that Batum's obviously continued to sort of, continue his father's legacy of being a pro, and what a great pro career he's had there. So, as I mentioned, 16th career season. I think he's definitely got a few more in him there. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Mr. Batum's career so far, Woods?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I remember him most fondly as a Portland Trailblazer. His friendship he had with Patty Mills in those early days, I remember that fondly. I think we talked about a guy like Luke Travers. He would do well to look at a guy like Nicolas Batum and what he's achieved and try and emulate that sort of game. A guy who just does a little bit of everything on the floor. He's just a ball player, right?
Yeah, there's some similarities, isn't there, between the two? Yeah.
So I think a guy like Nicolas Batum will do whatever his team needs him to do for them to be successful, right? And that's a great attribute that front offices, coaches, teammates like to see in a professional. Hence why he's getting so many opportunities and has been able to extend his career for 16 years, as you mentioned.
And like I said, not like he's just bouncing around from team to team. I mean, literally, Portland, Philadelphia, and the Clippers. So and obviously the Hornets there. So 4 franchises in that time there. What were your memories of the nut punch before we move on?
I just remember, that
was crazy.
I've never seen him really get angry. He's always been a very measured guy. So I mean, it just shows that if someone at some point that line gets crossed, anyone can snap. That's what I remember.
Absolutely. So look, obviously we're going to talk about the Olympics now, sort of thing. Really looking forward to see how it will go. As I mentioned, his 4th Olympics there, one of those veterans there. Got a pretty interesting team, France, I think. A mix of that youth and some really experienced players and some massive players. Probably the biggest front line we'll ever see in the Olympics, I would have thought. So nice one, Woods. A couple of different jerseys, but maybe a couple of guys with fairly similar games there. So no, I appreciate that. So well, look, let's get on to the Olympics, right, Woods? So at the time of recording, it's Wednesday, the 24th of July. I think we're 3 days and a handful of hours away from the Boomers' first game. I probably feel like I say this every Olympics. I'm so excited about this year.
Is that it?
Yeah. So the Boomers' first game is Saturday night. I think it's 9:30 Saturday night against Spain. So it's one of the very first games. I think the opening ceremony might be Friday night or something. So they're on very early there. I think the Opals might have their first game on Monday. But yeah, really pumped about it. So what I thought we'd do is maybe go through the groups for the men's and women's there, maybe just give a few predictions, maybe sort of see where we thought we'd go. Just before we go into the groups, I would. So I did want to ask you, so we were able to watch those recently televised Boomers games. So it was a close loss to USA, a bit of a comeback, maybe the score flattered them a little bit, and then a win against Serbia. So both those games were streamed. The other ones were a little bit harder to find there. So they had a win against Puerto Rico and then a really good 1-point win against France. I know we're a little bit down on the Boomers a couple of weeks ago when we were last on, but yeah, what were your thoughts of the efforts in those games, and how are you feeling about our chances now?
I'm a little bit watching those games. I was a little bit less angry or upset about Thibault's omission.
Yeah,
watching how this team played, it was interesting to see Magne come on as that backup big, in Gorgian's rotation.
Yeah,
and Duop Preet, who's the starting center in the World Cup, is now going to be playing a peripheral role. He's made a clear decision on which way he wants to go and what type of basketball he wants to play, and he's sticking to his guns. And we've seen a little bit of success in those two games. And if Patty Mills can repeat that kind of form that we saw, he had a 28-point game against Serbia from memory, right?
Yeah.
If he can repeat that kind of form and find FIBA, Patty, you got to remember, this is not like the World Cup where you get a little bit more of an opportunity. You've got 3 games to really show yourself.
Oh, it's crazy. It could be a really short appearance if you don't turn up.
You're going home, right?
Yeah.
So we need that right off the bat. The Exum injury, which I think you can speak to a little bit in a second, is something that I'm a little bit worried about, though.
Yeah. No, I think for me, look, I've been pretty impressed. Obviously saw extended highlights of those games that weren't totally televised, Puerto Rico and the French one. I thought the French one was really good. I've been pretty optimistic. I've been impressed with some of our bigger guards there. So, got to say, really excited about Dyson Daniels and how he's going to be with our Hawks this year. He's looked really good out there. He's shown an improvement with his shot. The guy's massive, right? Pretty funny. If he backs up Trey as the point guard role, he's probably about 9 inches taller than Trey. So, yeah, liking what I'm seeing from him. We saw him get that game winner against France from a great inbounds pass from Josh Giddey. Got to say, there's a little bit of myself in those inbound passes from Josh Giddey Woods. I get a few of those passes like that every week, but anyway, I'm a better shooter than him. But yeah, so yeah, pretty impressed with that. I like the rotations, and look, I think Gorgian's got to stick with these things, right? You can't sort of play all these guys. You've got to stick with that. Maybe an 8 or 9 rotation, just have the other guys that will potentially be playing spot minutes there. So it's not like that equal opportunity system where you're playing everyone. It's just not going to work doing that. So a bit of a surprise with Reith maybe, but yes. Maybe obviously with Will Magne, they like his defense better, and there's some massive front lines that are going to be coming up against in this Olympics. So it's probably not a bad move there. So yeah, so look, I think we're probably both feeling a little bit better is the bottom line there from what we were a couple of weeks ago. Maybe we'll talk about the Exum one now. So I think it was a fractured finger on his non-shooting hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So apparently he's good to go and he's going to be playing there. So I was wondering maybe that I wanted to make that call to Matisse Thybulle to see if he was available, and maybe he might have had his phone turned off. But hopefully he's okay. Look, there's not a lot of time in between the games there. I think we play Saturday, Tuesday, Friday or something like that. So maybe there's a chance maybe they won't play him in that first game. They'll try and give him a few more days. Not sure. Not sure if he's had any pre-existing with that finger as well. Has he fractured it before? Does he know how to sort of play through that pain on his non-shooting hand there? But yeah, hopefully it's all good there because I think he's a really important part of this team.
Definitely.
Right? I wasn't enjoying that Serbia game where they were just trying to put hard fouls on him all the time. I mean, people have said he's probably played against a lot of the guys in Europe in that Serbian team, but it was looking a bit dirty, I reckon, some of those fouls they're putting on him there. So this is obviously unrelated. This was in the French game, I think, wasn't it? Sort of early on, he drove in, just basically got knocked on the finger and dislocated it. So yeah, we wish Dante all the best there. But well, let's talk about these groups then, Wood. So
okay.
Obviously, people know that Australia has been classed in the group of death. It feels like we get classed in this group every Olympics. I'm not quite sure how that works, but so I'll just sort of talk you through. We've got the slide up for maybe the people that are listening there. So Group A will feature Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain. So you can see that the quality of these. So 3 pools of 4 teams, 12 teams that may make this men's Olympics and women's Olympics as well. So yeah, Group A: Australia, Greece, Canada, Spain. Group B, France, Germany, then a pretty big drop-off, I reckon, if you're talking 3 and 4 there with Japan and Brazil. And obviously, they've made it through, Japan being the best team in Asia, Brazil, South America. So that's how they've sort of got there. Group C, look, it's got, arguably the 2 best teams in USA and Serbia. We've got South Sudan, who I think maybe could surprise a few people. They certainly nearly got a massive upset against the US a couple of days ago. And then Puerto Rico there. So it's interesting, isn't it? I think For me, Group B is clearly the weakest group. I think Japan and Brazil, obviously they'll have to play each other and get a win there. But I can see, one of those teams for sure will go none from 3, and then the other team will go 1 and 2, basically. Maybe we'll make some predictions, Wood. So we should say as well, so 12 teams, 8 teams go through to the next round. So the 2 best teams in each division or each pool, so that's 6, and then the next highest ranking 2 teams. So it makes you think the more even divisions, like pool division, what am I calling it? Pool?
You'd call it. I mean, there's 3 groups, right? And the top 2 from each group will go in as well.
No, I was just getting the terminology. So so basically, I think the tighter groups there have got more chance of someone going through because those teams could be a little bit beating up on each other there. So maybe we'll start with our group, Woods, and that's Group A there. Who do you think the 2 teams will be? And sort of give me an order when you give. So who are the 2 teams that are definitely going through?
Yep. So I'm going to go with Australia and Canada, right? Now, the rosters.
Is Australia first?
Yes, I'm going to go Australia first. I'm going to put my patriotic hat on. I'm going to go Australia first, Canada second in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to say those 2 teams. I'll have Canada first and Australia second there. So maybe let's sort of talk about that.
Yes.
I think Greece have favoured over us there. So I think we both agree that Spain will be last. Am I right in thinking that in Group A?
Let's talk about those teams a little bit, right? Spain have gone through a little bit of a transition period, haven't they? No more Gasol brothers, no more Rubio. They've still got Rudy Fernandez.
Fernandez is older than you, I believe. Woods.
Yeah, he must be pushing 40 now, right? Who else have they got? Aldama there.
They've got the Herman Gomez boys,
Bo
Cruz himself. Right. So, Aldama will be all right. So, look, it's very much a team in transition. I think they, literally qualified for the Olympics about 2 weeks ago. They went through all the qualifying tournaments there. So, I don't think they're that powerhouse team. I think people will think, Spain sort of thing. This is not, that Spain team that we've, known from those previous Olympics. It is a bit of a new generation, plus we've got some of those sort of older guard there. But, you can't take them, lightly, that's for sure. It's a Spanish team that's, got a lot of respect around the world there, but I do think they'll finish 4th in the pool. So I guess I'm saying they'll finish 4th in the group, that means they won't win a game, right? If I'm thinking that. So
I mean Greece, they've got who have they got? They've got Giannis and Costas, I think, as well, right?
Yeah, Papagiannis. They've got Nicolas as well.
Oh, Nicolas.
Yeah, the one thing, and I've said this to a few people: if Australia go up against Greece, right? Greece have got the best player in Giannis. I don't know if I'm putting my homer hat on too much. I'd say Australia maybe have the next 6, 7, 8 best players in that game. It just shows you the best player, and then we've literally got the best team after that. So I don't think in that sort of format that Giannis is going to be putting up 40 points or something. So I'm confident that we can beat this Greek team.
Yes. Okay. I'm with you. I think Greece, Spain. That's a close one. Spain could even beat Greece. Just looking at that now. But as Birgit said, in this group, if you don't make it in the top 2, it's likely that you won't go through because of the way it is. And these games are going to be a lot closer than say in another group where you might get a one-sided game. I'd say
almost the opposite to that, Woods. I'd say almost the third team in that would be a lock to go through because they're all going to be taking wins from each other. It's not like one of these weaker groups where, like I said, like we maybe don't expect Brazil to win a game, for example, or maybe Puerto Rico don't. So I think if a team can win, so obviously you've got, 3 games you play there. I mean, let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say Canada win all 3 games, right? So Canada's 3-0. And let's say Australia and Greece are both...
They all win one game.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
3 of them
they all
win one
exactly. And that could happen, right? It could happen. Yeah. So basically, you've got to get that second win. So, we've got Spain the first game. Just please get a good start, right? If we win that one, then it almost feels like we've just got to get one of those other wins and then we're through to the next group. We don't want to think about too far ahead and, avoiding this team. We just want to get through to the round of 8, right? And then anything's possible. So, all right, I think we're pretty much in agreement with that one. So let's go to that Group B, right? So who have you got top 2 in order in that one?
In Group B, I think it's pretty clear. I'm going to go with France and Germany. Japan and Brazil have got some guys there, right? That are going to, be fun to watch, but I just can't see those 2 getting overthrown, right?
I think they're going to be pretty ordinary, those teams. I think you're probably being a little bit kind to them. But
what about
Didi
Lozada? Didi Lozada? He's here? In Brazil?
Good luck. Oh, they're definitely going to win if he's playing, yeah. I mean, look, France, I think, lost all 4 of their warm-up games. Probably doesn't mean a whole lot there. They're a bit of a strange team as well, right? I think they've got a lot of sort of older guys. You've got your Batums, you've got your Evan Fournier and those sort of guys. and Rudy Gobert, who's obviously a veteran now. You've got Wemby coming in. You've got Bilal Koulibaly, if I'm saying that right.
Nando De Colo.
Yeah, so it is a mix, isn't it? Old and new there. So
Yabusele probably there as well. Gershon probably
what
there.
Do you think? Yeah, true. What do you think about the hometown team? Is that putting more pressure on them, or that perhaps maybe get a few extra calls from the refs? Will they sort of fire up a bit more based on that?
I reckon that a French team playing in front of their home crowd are going to really have a huge advantage. Right?
Fair enough.
Both from the referees and from the crowd.
True. And look, Germany's probably a team that we haven't spoken. Just going back to France as well, I did mention early on. So they're going to be starting with Wemby and Rudy Gobert in the front line. So
that's crazy.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. So it's quality to see that. The German team for me is maybe not getting enough respect.
Yeah.
They won the last World Cup and were really impressive there. I think no one's really talking about them, are they? Maybe they should. No. So they could clearly win this pool. And they could potentially go 3-0 in this group as well. So, you've got guys like Dennis Schroeder, that Ops guy, the big guy that killed USA in the World Cup.
Look, they've got those guys like Voigtman and Isaac Bonga. And these guys are experienced international players.
And they've got the Wagner brothers as well. Good. So Franz Wagner, I think, is going to be putting up numbers there as well. So, I think they're a team that's been together for a while too. So it's easy for everyone to say, this American team's got the best team on paper. These guys haven't played a lot together there. So I like this German team. I think they're definitely one to watch out for. So I think we're pretty much in agreement with that.
Daniel Tice as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's good, man. I'm telling you, right?
100%. Yeah. So looking forward to them. I'm a bit fond of the Germans. I love DS17, one of my favourites.
Yeah, for sure.
Top 10 Hawk of all time there. So I'll be definitely supporting those Germans there. So, let's go to that last Group C. This one feels a bit easier. I think we both know who the top two teams will be in this one. So I'll just say it, USA and Serbia. That's pretty clear there. USA winning it for you?
The whole thing or that group?
No, just this group.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Serbia's an interesting one, aren't they? I think they weren't maybe amazing in the warm-up games at all, but at the end of the day, no one's going to care about those games now. They've got arguably the best player in the world in the Joker playing for them, so he's going to be amazing.
Jovic and Bogdanovic as well, I'm pretty sure. Those are the two other NBA guys.
Seems to be nursing a bit of an injury, or Pokashevsky as well. I don't know. I think maybe Bogdanovic, they need to get him firing.
Pokashevsky's out, isn't he?
Is he?
I don't know. I just heard through the grapevine that he was
snapped in half.
Interesting. I was looking at the rosters and he wasn't on there. So
interesting.
Okay.
He was playing in the warm-up games. Yeah,
okay, maybe.
But
maybe.
Hopefully for them, Bogdanovic is right. Look, I don't think Puerto Rico's really going to do much at all, but South Sudan's maybe that one sneaky team. We saw them really push America. I mean, what's not to say on a night, if everything goes their way, that they can't get an upset and maybe beat Serbia, right? I mean, they're a team that really heavily relies on the three-point shot. And if they get hot, and I think we're going to have probably everyone in Australian basketball will have a soft spot for them. I think half of the team are basically NBL players, and you've got guys like JT Thor, one of the best names you'll see.
Thor, yeah.
Unfortunately, Bol got injured a couple of weeks ago, so he's out there. But they've got a lot of guys with NBL sort of background.
Wayne Gabriel's on that team,
that's right. Yeah, they've got all the Majocks and all the Dangs and all the ones
Thon
in between.
Maker is playing, right?
Well, apparently he was, but then he didn't get cleared. So because he has played for Australia, there was a bit of a rule, and that's why he didn't sort of end up making that final roster spot there. So,
but JT Thor guy's a beast, man, right?
He's good. He basically got that shot that looked like it was going to give them the win against the US before LeBron's heroics again. So they're one to watch out for, I think. They've got nothing to lose. They're a fairly new nation, obviously. So,
I'm putting him in to make it then, actually, out of the two.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. So we've named our six, and we've got all the same six so far. So I'll just repeat it. So we've got Canada and Australia, we've got France and Germany, USA and Serbia. So that means two more spots. So South Sudan, I've got them making it as well. So who's your eighth?
Well, I was going to say someone out of the second group because of my theory that, but you do make a good point, right?
It's Greece for me.
All right. Yeah, out of Greece and Spain. I'm going to go Spain then. All right?
Okay. Well, that'd be interesting. We've only got one different out of that top eight there. And look, it probably was slightly easy to do, but I think it's so easy to get these early wins on the board. Like I said, imagine Australia goes down to Spain. Imagine we come out and we're just flat and Spain use all their experience there and we're down. We're massively up against it there if that happens. So, probably didn't talk a whole lot about Canada. Woods, maybe just go back to them quickly there. We know that's a star-studded team there. It's probably the best ever team that Canada's fielded. I mean, Jamal Murray and SGA in the backcourt, that's, maybe arguably better than the backcourt that the US team might roll out with there. They're pretty solid, right? I don't think Australia should be...
I'll just read out that squad to you quickly.
Yeah.
Nickel Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Kem Birch, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Trey Lyles, Jamal Murray, Andrew Nembhard, Kelly Olynyk, Dwight Powell, and Melvin Ejim, who's obviously the only non-NBA guy.
Yeah, so it's really only Zach Edey and Wiggins that are in that team. So I don't think we should be too scared of them. If you're talking big guys there, you're talking Kelly Olynyk, you're talking big guy from Dallas. I don't know whether they're like the guys.
Dwight Powell.
Yeah, Dwight Powell. They're not like the most amazing big guys. Certainly got a great backcourt, but I do think they are beatable there. So,
sure.
But look, even just talking about this, Woods, I'm getting excited for it now. So I hope the coverage is good. I think Stan's got it, and also 9 now has got a thing where you can basically go on and select a sport. Because when we've watched this in the past, right? And basically, you'll be in the third quarter and now we're going to equestrian, right? And then you'll come back and there's like 3 minutes left and it's high.
So
game.
what do you mean?
So frustrating.
Is it free on Stan? Or do you,
I don't know. I don't pay for these streaming services. I know that 9 now's got it, and apparently there is something where you can choose the sport. So I believe you're going to be able to watch all the games. You should be able to in this modern day and age and that, but I'll be dirty if they're doing that stuff at the game.
A shout out to my boy Sammy. It's his 40th on Saturday night at 9:30. There'll be a lot of people quite lubricated in front of the TV watching the game. So hopefully we can find an easy place to watch it at his house.
Hey, I thought you were doing dry July, Woods. July's still going, right?
Yeah, I mean, anyway.
All good.
Let's move
on. Nice. Well, let's talk about the women's then. That was fun doing that. So I believe you've got a little bit of a slide you've prepared earlier. So maybe just chuck that one up and I'll read out the groups
sure.
there.
Yep, I'll do that. Yep. Give me a second.
So we'll start off with Group A. So we've got Serbia, Spain, People's Republic of China, and Puerto Rico. Group B, we've got Canada, Nigeria, Australia, and France. That still feels like a pretty tough group to me. In Group C, you've got Germany, US, Japan, and Belgium. So you've got a few, I guess, teams that are in the women's that aren't in the men's. So those ones would be China, Nigeria, and Belgium. So three different teams there that will be playing in that. Maybe we'll start off with Group A, Woods. Who have you got 2 teams coming out of that, or what are your thoughts on that group in general?
Yeah, so I thought that so that's Serbia, Spain, China, and Puerto Rico. I think Serbia and Spain is pretty clear. The two that are, I mean, China is going to be competitive, and I think Puerto Rico's got some. They'll all be competitive games. That'll be a competitive group. But for me, I would say those two would probably be the ones to push through. Yeah,
Spain and Serbia for me. So maybe I'll start off with Group B. So in order, I think Australia and France. I was a little bit disappointed with some of the selections in the Australian team, but at the end of the day, they've got a good team there. I think they're a really big chance. The American team is loaded, absolutely loaded. But, I think your Japans, your Frances, those sort of teams, even Canada could be a sneaky chance. But I like our chances to win this group. Again, that theory with France playing in front of their home crowd, home refs and everything else like that, they'll be pretty difficult as well. But you got the same 2 teams coming out of Group B?
Definitely, and I got a chance to watch a lot of the Women's World Cup last year, you remember, Robbie, and I watched a lot of the French games, and watching someone like Gabby Williams and Ryan Rupert's sister, I can't remember her first name, but they're outstanding on that team, right? So I'm looking forward to watching the French girls play. They play an exciting brand of basketball, so definitely that's going to be a good group. That France-Australia game is going to be a really good one.
Absolutely. And then in Group C, I think we'd both probably have the USA and Japan for that one. Obviously, Japan's a really strong team in the women's competition. Look, the extra 2 teams I've got to make up the 8 that I've got there are Germany and Canada. So I don't know if you've got anything.
Exactly the same.
That. So, and it seems a little bit that way, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not sure whether teams like Belgium, Nigeria, those sort of teams are really going to be. You never know.
Belgium are good, man. Belgium have
of course.
I mean, top 5 ranking in the recent.
That's it. And every team that's here is good. That's the thing. Everyone's kind of on their own merit sort of thing. I know China weren't, that impressive in that 2-game series that they played against Australia, but you never know, right? They've got some size.
Did Belgium win a medal in the last World Cup? The last Olympics?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. So I know it was.
They might have. Right?
Yeah, maybe you can fact check that one while I'm sort of going through it, but. Yeah, well, look, as I said, so the Boomers tip off, Sydney time. I think it's Saturday, maybe 9:30 p.m. Maybe just check that one. I'm sure everyone will be tuned to that one. And then I believe the Opals game is Monday night. And look, all these games are really friendly times. It might change when the games, go on a little bit in the finals and that, but they're all, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, all these sort of good times that, we're not working. It's not too late to stay up and everything. So, really good times. Hopefully the coverage is good and absolutely go Boomers and go Opals, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Belgium definitely have never won a medal at basketball, so maybe I got that wrong. But they definitely had a high world ranking. So a lot of these, what I'm trying to say is a lot of these lesser teams are going to be competitive in that women's draw.
Hey, that makes some pretty good waffles, I've heard, Woods. Yeah.
For sure.
Nice. Well, no, that was good going through that. Looking forward to it. Normally this is a bit of a dull time of year, right? And Yeah, this is certainly going to keep us interested for a while now. Just quickly, Woods, before we got on, do you have interest in other Olympic sports? Will you be watching sort of other stuff?
Athletics for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Like especially like the 100, 200, 400, 800,
that sort of stuff.
kind of thing.
It's probably different than back in the day, and I've mentioned my theory about why I used to watch more cricket and more tennis because there just wasn't a lot of things on back in the day. I don't think I'll have it on 24/7, but it's one of those things you put it on and whatever sport's on, there's an Aussie in that, and you kind of cheer them on and you end up enjoying it. So there'll be a bit of that for me. I know my daughter's really excited about it, so no, bring on this
What about you? Any other sports? A bit of gymnastics or cycling? Or anything
no
like
gymnastics.
That?
Definitely not that walking. That's one of the worst sports I've ever seen.
Power walking.
100%, yeah. All the track and field, the 100 meters, 200 meters, and those sort of things. And maybe some stuff like the breakdancing. Some of these random sort of things I got on like that could be pretty cool. So
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I appreciate that, Woods. I thought we'd just go into a little bit of a quick hits segment now before we finish off with classic packs. So, as I mentioned, it's been nearly a couple of weeks since we've recorded. So, pretty much all the free agents have been signed now. I had a look today. I think it might only be Tyus Jones and maybe Isaac Okoro are the only two that haven't really signed now. So pretty much they will. Oh, definitely those two. So look, I think I'll read out the signings that have happened since we last went to air. So Kyle Lowry returning to Philly on a 1-year deal. Former Hawk Sadiq Bey getting a 2-year deal and a pretty friendly contract there coming off that injury there with Washington. So I thought that was a pretty good move there. We saw Russell Westbrook traded to Utah for Chris Dunn to the Clippers. And then Westbrook's been bought out and is signing with the Nuggets. So that's pretty interesting there. I think there was rumours all along that Russ might end up in Denver. So that Clippers team's going to really be looking different. Their ages have gone down quite a bit, although they have got Batum back. Spencer Dinwiddie returned to the Mavs on a 1-year deal, which I thought was a pretty decent, sneaky deal for them as a bit of a backup insurance for Kyrie Irving there. The big one for me, Woods, and maybe I'll ask your opinion to start this one off, Gary Trent Jr. to the Bucks. Felt like he waited around. Maybe he wasn't getting the best advice. Didn't quite get that big deal that he was hoping for. What a great signing for the Bucks, right? That's like one of the most sneaky, under-the-radar free agent signings we've seen. He'll step straight into that starting spot that Malik Beasley held last year. He's a great defender. He's a good shooter. I think he'll be perfect around Dame and Middleton and those sort of guys. But yeah, what was your take on that signing for the Bucks?
I like it a lot, and as soon as I saw it, I was thinking those same thoughts that you just echoed. Right? It's perfect for them. They're a team that's sort of just been teetering around mediocre since that championship. Since they replaced Coach Bud as coach, they've had ups and downs with the roster and with the coaching staff, etc. So to bring in a guy like Gary Trent, who is a banker that you can rely on, is exactly what that ball club needs. I'll tell you one thing that I'm really, really a sneaky signing that you just mentioned right there was a guy, Chris Dunn, right? He had a 4-year college at Providence. He was highly touted out of college, former McDonald's All-American guy. He was a consensus All-American in college, and it just never worked out for him. But the last few years, he's been showing signs of what people thought he would be able to deliver on early on in his career. So
Giant signs, Woods, but why does he keep bouncing around though? Why teams not sort of? Clippers gave him a 3-year deal, pretty decent contract. He's been with the Hawks, he's been with Chicago, he's bounced around all these teams. But you're right though, he does have some potential there, and maybe that's a decent sort of defender for the Clippers. Interesting, isn't it, Woods? We've talked about several times on the show before. Dame Lillard's defense and Trae Young's defense. They both surrounded themselves with some really good backup or really good defenders there. So Milwaukee's got DeLon Wright and also Gary Trent Jr. Hawks got Dyson Daniels. So it's pretty interesting tactics, both those teams there. So any of those other ones I mentioned you want to chat about? The Westbrook one, Sadiq Bey, Kyle Lowry.
Westbrook to Denver is nice. As I said to you, I really like Chris Dunn's going to be good for what the Clippers are doing, right? Westbrook is going to be good for what the Nuggets are doing. I think it's a good fit there,
Hey, Westbrook doesn't solve, and I'm as big a Westbrook fan as you'll see, it doesn't solve their shooting woes, does it? I think he'll be good off the bench, but it still feels like that team needs some shooting now, right?
Definitely. I mean, you work a bit of Joker and Westbrook together in that, pick and roll action, surround a few shooters around those guys. That's a recipe for success, I think, right? So they need to go out and surround, get some more shooting on that roster, as you said. Yeah.
While we're talking NBA before we move on, Woods, I know we were talking before we went to air, so I've been watching a show called Undisputed. It's basically an 8-part series. I really encourage people to find it. It's a little bit hard to find. We've been sort of finding it via torrents. If people know how to do that sort of stuff. But really good. It's sort of each episode's a different story there. One that really caught my eye that I mentioned was basically the Seattle Supersonics sort of story there. And they interviewed some of those Seattle guys, you Jamal Crawford's, you DeJounte Murray and that. One thing that caught my eye that I forgot to mention to you, they were interviewing Gary Payton. Did you know just how much Gary Payton idolised John Stockton? So apparently it's like he's idly got John Stockton to speak at his Hall of Fame ceremony there. And it was really interesting hearing that, Gary Payton saying this guy still doesn't get enough credit for what he did. He was just such an amazing
I agree with Gary, and I did
so
know
much
that.
stuff off. So, yeah, it was interesting hearing that
yeah.
there. So really good stories there. There's one on Pistol Pete. There's one on NBA Jam. There's one on sort of just some random stories there. So Undisputed it's called. So keep an eye out for that. And, yeah, let me know what you think when you watch that as well, Woods.
Yep. What about your NBA Jam Tournament Edition machine? Should we talk about that?
Yeah, so I have ordered a custom-made NBA Jam arcade machine. So being made at the moment. I'm expecting it probably within the next 2 weeks, I'd say now, Wood. So I hope you'll be around when I've got it there. So got to actually design the sort of display of it and everything like that. Put a big Hawks logo on it and that. So maybe we'll put a couple of pictures on socials when that comes. But
Definitely.
I'm really excited about that. It was a bit of a treat from moving into the house, and I've sort of thought if I don't get this now, I'm just going to spend any money that I've saved for it, sort of thing. They're not cheap, but hopefully it's one of those things that I can enjoy for years to come. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. So all right, Woods. Well, maybe we'll just quickly talk a little bit of NBL. Look, there's been a few import signings, a few guys out of college signing. We saw the youngest Bairstow brother signing in New Zealand yesterday. We've seen a few little moves like that. We've seen Alex Higgins Titcher from Inner West Bulls signing with Cairns, which was great. So shout out to the NBL 1 East. But I think the big news that's happened in this last couple of weeks is Southeast Phoenix losing their best player. So for those that hasn't seen, Mitch Creek will not be back. Hasn't actually signed a deal yet, but has basically left to pursue overseas opportunities. I know this wasn't a big shock to you, Woods, but how massive a loss is this to the Phoenix?
It's a big loss, because not just about what he offers on the floor, but he's been such a great guy for the culture that team's been able to build since their inception as a, expansion franchise as part of the NBL. He's, as I said, he's been the face of that ball club.
Yeah.
Losing a guy like him is going to be tough. When Nathan Serby signed with the team, I kind of got that vibe that Creek had one foot out the door. It was an announcement Serby was signed, but I kind of joined the dots there that Creek might leave, and we've seen that play out as I thought. So, as you said, I'm not that surprised.
This could be one of the biggest roster shake-ups we've seen from any team in recent years, this Southeast Melbourne team. They're bringing back basically a whole new team, right? I'm trying to think of actually who is coming back, but guys like Source Williams is gone, Creek's gone. Who else did they have last year that was an important player? New imports, right? We've got Derek Walton Jr. and they've got the other guy who's in the Summer League. Basically, it's a new team there. So, interesting. I think maybe they did underperform a little bit last year and they decided to shake it up a bit. But, yeah, they'll be one team to watch there. We'll really have to get the name chart out and try and actually see who's on that team. So, on that as well, Woods, we're looking forward to do these NBL previews that we've done. This will be, our third or fourth year of doing this now?
Third, I think. Oh, maybe fourth. It could be fourth. Yeah.
Slides for us and stuff. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And look, I think once the Olympics finishes, we'll get onto those. We'll probably do one of those a week. And I think the Blitz is like 6 weeks away, right, in Gold Coast? Geez, I'd love to get some time off to go there, but it won't happen. You are going to Perth for the...
Yeah, we'll just see how my wife's health is and everything. Okay, if it's all so good by that time, then I'll go. Yeah, but nice. It's looking like it, yeah.
Yeah, it isn't it good we've just got this Olympics now, just to sort of keep us interested there. Quick shout out to the NBL 1. So all the finals are basically started in that. Unfortunately, my Hills Hornets didn't make it. They missed out on the last day. They went to a head-to-head tie-breaking record with Bankstown, who had a close overtime win in their last game to get in front of Hills. So that was disappointing. And amazingly enough, Woods, I'm not sure if you saw, so Albury had a 20-0 season, so a record-breaking season. They lost their qualifying game last week. Yeah. So lost to Newcastle with Nicole Munger leading it there. So they come down to an elimination game this week against Loz Nichols and Sutherland. So there'll only be one Lauren playing in that game. Of course, the other, Lauren Jackson's got something else she's doing at the moment. So there's a chance that Sutherland could go to Albury this week, and Albury could go out in straight sets. So I know they had Albury women's coach Sammy Mack on the NBL 1X podcast
shout out
this
to
week.
Sammy Mack, man.
Shout out to Jacinta and the Frenchman Lockie France as well. So they had him on there. So really, good guy. I know someone you've met before. So what an interesting story, though. So maybe when we get a bit more time these next couple of weeks, maybe we'll go one sort of NBL, NBL 1 division at a time and sort of give a bit of an update there.
Let's do that.
Nice one. All right, well, let's finish off with some classic packs, Woods. I think you might have some of that ginormous pack.
Let's do them. I think two more.
Some basketball cards, Woods. I feel like I might have bought, maybe one or two of those in the last week. Would you agree with that assessment? Or?
Definitely. Do you want to?
I've been blowing up our group chat with some of the.
Do you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I sort of made a bit of a decision. I wanted to sort of get into card collecting again. The NBL, cards that came out sort of got my interest again. I was a massive card collector in the 90s there, so just started collecting. So I'm sort of getting some, graded rookie cards, and I'm trying to get as many autos, so signed autograph cards as I can. So built up a pretty good collection. Maybe we'll do some show and tell. But who are some of the rookie cards I've got, Wood? So I've got Dirk, Vince Carter, Luca, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton. So I'm kind of building it up there. So thinking of players, and a Wemby as well, a 10 grade Wemby. So trying to think of any of these guys that might blow up over the next year or two, and maybe that might be a nest egg. You never know. I think people thought they were going to get rich on those cards in the 90s, and no one did it all. But it's been fun getting into it. It's a nice little hobby. It doesn't take up a lot of room in the house as well, so maybe that's a good thing as well.
All right, so while we're on the topic of cards, let's start then. So I've got the same packet. So this is the 2016-17 Panini. It was a 35 pack for those who didn't tune into previous episodes, and we've just split it into, 4 or 5 turns to get through the 35. So this guy, I honestly think that this is who Alex Sarr will turn out to be, right? Another Frenchman, right? Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are high on Alex Sarr, so this is the kind of player that I think Alex Sarr will probably end up becoming. And another Frenchman who played for the Pelicans in this year, right?
Alex Ajinka?
Alex Ajinka. That's who I think is the kind of prototype Alex Sarr will eventually become.
He might have a brother coming through the ranks as well, I think I read. But that's a good call. Hopefully, you'd be wanting for such a high pick to have a bit more upside, but you never know with this draft, and he's none of 15 shooting in summer league, so we'll see.
He's the player comp that came to mind when I saw him for the first time. Enough. Anyway, love this guy. Just didn't get a chance to play enough. For the Sacramento Kings, he used to play, and the Mavs, he's a guard. There was a guy whose surname was Doobie, right? Do you remember him in the NBA?
Quincy, is it?
Yeah, okay. This guy's got the same name as Doobie, but he was a guard. He played for mainly I remember Sacramento.
It's a pretty skinny guy, right? Am I thinking? Right?
I know, bodyguard, bald guy.
Nah, different.
Quincy Acey.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Jeez, that's a blast from the past, that one, yeah. So we're getting some interesting ones so far. Maybe some stars. Try and pull some stars.
Okay. It's possible that... Okay, this guy is... You just mentioned this guy. He used to start for the Milwaukee Bucks. Gary Trent is going to come in and step into his role a little bit, you were mentioning earlier. He's probably hooked up with Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
So good old Malik Beasley, who'll be in Detroit this year, I believe. Yeah, so interesting, Malik Beasley. That's a rookie card as well, right? So you got the RC up the top. They're not talking about me. They're talking about rookie cards. So nice.
Yep. Nice. There's a rookie card for you right there. We pulled one.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like it.
This former NBA player's tennis player wife has just come out of retirement and started playing again on the WT tour.
This is someone who actually got a signed card of last week. Are we talking a big left-handed guy that played with New York and Golden State? Yeah, so David
Dallas. And Dallas.
And Dallas, yeah. He was an interesting player, right?
San Antonio.
Second round pick, David Lee, if I'm not mistaken, and he really came on strong, didn't he? Had a really solid career.
I mean, Draymond Green coming in and the Golden State Warriors changing to that small ball type of play really saw the death of David Lee in the NBA, true, right? Because Harrison Barnes and... He
left Golden State just as they were starting to blow up, wasn't he?
And that initial Mark Jackson Golden State, the strides they made as a team, David Lee was a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monte Ellis and all those guys, shout out to him.
For sure. Great player, journeyman. His father was, his stepfather was a Venezuelan who played for the Sydney Kings. I'm talking about This guy's stepfather played for the Sydney Kings in the 90s.
Oh, you're talking about Trevor Ariza. Nice. Has he officially retired yet, by the way?
Oh, man, like,
I know he seems like one of these guys that hasn't filed his papers yet. So, yeah. What's his, what year was he born? Does it show that on there?
Yeah,
he's got to be like older than you, right?
1985, so he'd be 30...
39.
Yeah. I mean, people have played later than that.
Should hang him up now. Yeah.
One of the most clutch shooters in NBA history. Really, you've been very critical of him on the defensive end of the floor, even more so lately since he's transitioned to his new role on the Milwaukee Bucks alongside Giannis.
Mate, someone I like as well, so it probably seems like I'm ragging on this guy. I actually do really like him. In fact, I'm actually wearing his jersey underneath this right now, so I'm wearing a bit of a... So Dame Dollar...
But you've been very, very harsh to him.
I have been, because his defense sucks, but he does everything else well, so Dame Lillard.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice, wearing that Rip City jersey that they had that time.
Yeah. And finally, Pistons guard. I know he's probably had some issues with the law in the past. Maybe I'm wrong. Sorry to you if that is the case.
What number?
I don't know much about him. Number 41.
41 for the Pistons at guard.
Yeah, second round pick 32 in the 2013 draft. I'm sure like he had some sort of...
Not coming to mind. I think Sadiq Bey was wearing 41. I remember that. But yeah, 41 at guard. The Pistons.
Yeah, he's at Panathinaikos now.
Okay. No, who we got?
Lorenzo Brown.
Okay. Wow. Geez, I tell you what, we got Dame Lillard, but we got a few no-names in that part of the pack, didn't we? So maybe you want to just quickly read out who we pulled there?
We pulled Lorenzo Brown. We pulled Dame Lillard, Trevor Ariza, David Lee, Malik Beasley, Quincy Acey, and Alex Ajinka. Yeah. So I mean, some very, very well-known players, albeit no Hall of Famers, or maybe one Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and David Lee, who had a very solid career as well. I think it might have been a one-time All-Star.
One-time All-Star, definitely, with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, nice.
Or maybe
that was fun, Woods.
I remember.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, yeah, look, this sort of brings us to the end of the show. Before we get into the things, we're coming back next week, right? I think we should. I think if we come back sort of midweek next week, we'll have quite a few of these early Olympic games. And like I said, if Australia can if they either win the first two, lose the first two, we'll know exactly kind of how we're looking there. So, feeling probably more optimistic with the Opals. I think they're going to,
Yeah, me too.
I think the Opals are going to win a medal. Hopefully that's not,
I think Australia, looking at them play though, man, I think I'm much more high on them than I was before watching them in those games. I didn't get to watch that France game, but I watched most of the other two, the USA and
but almost you can do the other side of that and say these teams like France and that, all those games were essentially meaningless. So when the Olympics starts, that's when it all sort of, is real sort of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, well, yeah, just a reminder, as I mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. On socials, we can be followed on X at Throwback Hoops. We'll post a picture of these cool jerseys in a couple of days, right, Woods? Instagram, throwback.hoops, and our email address is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Send us through some jersey requests. We haven't had any of them for a while. If you've got a jersey you want to see if we've got, a fair chance that we might. We probably won't have a Quincy, whatever his name was, that you pulled then. Or some of those random ones in that pack. But we've got some random ones there. But and also Patreon as well. We mention this each week. If you're able to, maybe perhaps pledge a couple of dollars a month, that would really help us with the, the production, the editing, and all the expenses associated with bringing you this podcast and this video show. So, maybe Woods, you got any final words or anything before we wrap it up for the week?
No, excited for the Olympics. Everyone, please tune in, get right behind the nation, in whatever sport that may be.
That's right. All right. Well, a big thanks to the Throwback Hoops crew. Peace out. Go Boomers and go Opals.
For sure.